Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar where today we'll be discussing everything that you need to consider when you're looking for a new website. So today we're going to be going through things like copy, design, the user journey, just everything that actually, did you want to go over the news?
So Entice will actually be getting a new website shortly. So this is everything that we've had to consider for that new website. So keep your eye out for it.
So this is everything that we've done ourselves. So quickly, just to introduce ourselves, my name's Kate May. I'm the project manager at Entice.
And I'm Beck, and I'm digital marketing manager at Entice.
Perfect.
So why would your site need a refresh, Kate May?
So you might need a refresh on your website because, for various reasons, but here we've just listed a few bullet points. So one, your site might be visually outdated. Now, what we mean by that is the imagery on your website might feature staff members that have actually left. Maybe you've had an office refurb literally recently, and all the images on your website feature the old office. So therefore, when users to your website actually come to visit your office, it doesn't look like anything as it is now.
Might have a rebrand.
Exactly.
That doesn't match your existing website.
Exactly.
It might just look really old.
It might. Yes, it might feature old colours. Also, perhaps your company has started offering more services or perhaps new products, and the website doesn't reflect that. So therefore, you're not actually selling the stuff which is
key to your core business on your website. So
exactly. So you might need to add more services. Also, just I suppose pretty obvious, but perhaps your website's actually broken. So not many people know this, but your website does need to actually be, the plugins associated with your website, which are often what
will break the website or won't be compatible anymore with different browsers.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
Like the plugins sort of do the animation side of the website as well, and maybe they need updating regularly. So because the website works similar to your phone, actually, like the same way that your phone might need updating every few months. You know, when you get that message saying your phone is scheduled for an update, similar to a website, it needs updating. So if you haven't done that for a while, things will start to break and you will need to start thinking about a new website.
Exactly. And if your site is old as well, it may not necessarily be responsive across different devices. So people don't just access your website through the computer. Mobile phone is probably one of the most important aspects of your website. You should be designing mobile first. And obviously tablets and that kind of thing.
Because obviously I suppose it's fairly recent that we started looking at mobile phones and on websites on mobile phones, like years and years ago, people probably wouldn't have even considered.
No, I mean, it's only it seems like we've been looking at websites on mobiles for decades, but really, in reality, it hasn't actually been that long.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some reasons why your website might need a refresh.
So once you know what the purpose of your refresh is, now you need to know what the purpose of your site is. Exactly. So this could have changed from when your site first went live. So you may have originally just had your website built as a brochure site, so people will go on and find out more information about your business and get in touch, which is perfectly fine. But now you might also want people to be able to book courses, buy products, sign up for an event. So you need to know whoever's reaching your website, why are they there? What do you want them to do?
Definitely. I mean, I suppose it kind of suggests that if your company is growing and is really started to become a bigger thing, then so does your website.
Exactly.
And it needs to grow alongside each other.
So that leads us straight on to mapping out your user journey. So this is something you should do before every website project that we do, is to find out how people are going to navigate through the website. So for example, say we're going to use the example of a car hire site. So we want people to be able to go on the website and eventually hire a car. But what is the journey in between to get them to that end result? What variables will they come across, and where will each of those variables lead them through the site? So we have an example on the next slide of this car hire site. So obviously you will enter the site, but then you may go on to a tutorial. You may straight away ask for assistance. But then you will go on to filter your cars, indicate where you want the car to be picked up. And there's all these branches off this that will all eventually lead to hiring a car, but you need to be able to understand where that journey will take you through the website to that end goal.
Because I suppose we've all been there where we've gone onto a website and we're really struggling to find the answer to our question, and perhaps we keep going to like dead ends, and it actually starts to get quite frustrating. And more often than not, you'll just pick up the phone to the customer service team and ask a question where that the answer to that question could have been clearly laid out on the website, and you could have found it really easily.
Exactly.
So it is very important just to consider the user journey.
We want people to have a nice experience on your website. We don't want to frustrate them before they've even got in touch with you.
Yeah, and that as well enhances the company's reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
As well. And I think the user journey, just quickly as well, actually on the user journey, you will, by mapping out the journey, you'll be able to understand what pages are crucial on the website, which will help your wireframing stage, which is a stage later on once you've considered everything you need for a website refresh.
And now on to the fun bit.
So the fun bit, the visual design, what do you want your website to convey? So this kind of refers back to sort of the colours, the types of imagery you're going to want to use. But first, before you start sort of designing the website, you're going to want to put together maybe like a mood board of ideas that you quite like the look of for your own website.
And it could be from any other industry. It doesn't need to be, you need to look at specifically your industry. You could look at any website you might like. You might like something from the Apple site and think, oh, I want that for my website.
Exactly. So you just, like the first bullet point says, you need to just look at sites that you like the look of. So each time you're scrolling through Google, you might want to keep a notebook next to you, or even have like a notes on your phone set up, so you can just quickly make a note of something that you like the look of, like animations, different types of color, maybe the way they've laid out the copy, maybe even the way the nav looks. Because there's actually, it might surprise you how many variations of a nav bar there are. You might have a drop down, it might be like a burger menu.
What will your customers be looking for in a menu as well, to make it as easy as possible to get to the page they want them to?
Yeah, because you might want to have the main pages the customer's going to be on right at the top rather than in the drop down, because then it's easier for them to find. But as we've said at the bottom of the slide, this stage of when you're considering a new website is a great stage to have a look at whether your brand needs a refresh.
Exactly.
Perfect. So should we go on to the next slide?
Now we've got an idea of design. We're not at the design stage yet, but we need to consider the copy, because that will really kind of marry the website together. Your copy should reflect the design and vice versa. So whether it's you like your tone of voice to be corporate, whether you'd like it to be fun, which is, we love fun copy on a website, but also we do kind of rein in slightly, because if you go too much fun, too fun, you can kind of lose the point of the copy, and you cannot be as clear to users on the website. And we want them to be able to understand straight away what is it you do, especially if you work in an industry where it's quite,
you need to look
difficult.
Like
it's difficult to explain what you do. You really need to have that in mind. How can you really clearly, to the point, say this is what we do as a business?
Definitely. And it does help that trustworthy sort of element to the company if you can understand exactly what they do within a few seconds of reading the copy. You don't want to be spending hours trying to find what they do. It should be clear. Definitely.
I think people will just come off your website straight away. If they don't see what they want to see, they'll just leave.
And then they'll go to a competitor's website, and you don't want that.
If it doesn't align with your tone of voice, your existing copy, then it needs to. Obviously, if you use a different tone of voice on social, why are you using a different one on your website? If you're unsure about your tone of voice and how to create a tone of voice document, our head of content, Hannah, has actually gone through tone of voice on a number of our webinars, so they're all on YouTube if you want to have a look.
Shameless plug.
So once you have the basis of your web copy, then we have content to consider to use around the site. So that could be FAQs, which was really important to search engine optimization up until last year, where Google no longer kind of considers it within its algorithm,
It's a
but it is a shame. But it's also still really crucial to your users. It still adds a great deal of value.
I am constantly looking at FAQs on websites because I just want to, if I'm trying to find a question, trying to find an answer to my question, I'm not going to bother going through all the pages. I'm just going to find that FAQ section, find the question that I want answering.
Exactly.
There you go. And similar to my point previously, actually, if the question's not there, if I can't find an answer, you're just going to phone up the customer service team
or leave,
or just leave the website. So I think FAQs is definitely a must on a website.
And then case studies. So we need to evidence how have you helped other people that are similar to the people visiting your website to really show that you know what you're talking about. You do a good job, basically.
Yeah, and that actually does bring the human element to the company into the website as well, because knowing that the company you're looking at has actually helped other people similar to your position, that definitely also builds on that reputation of the company and that they are a credible business.
And I think people are often quite nervous to talk about case studies, especially if there's kind of confidentiality issues in place, but I think we can work around those. So you don't need to name names within a case study. You can say this company works in this industry, it's this big. You don't need to say who it is unless it's really obvious who it is, then maybe consider, but I think there's always ways to be able to evidence what you do.
Definitely.
And then news articles, obviously we want to showcase we know what we're talking about, we know the industry, we keep up to date with changes in the industry, and that's a great way to do through news articles. Also evergreen content that search engines love, like giving tips and tricks. Also, it's a great way to share on social, newsletters.
All of this content, FAQs, case studies, and news articles can be used for social posts. So it has loads of benefits.
Make it all work harder.
Yeah, exactly. So the next stage is reviewing your imagery and visual content. So we've just put down a few bullet points here. So we'll start with office photography. Perhaps your company or the industry you work in, perhaps office photography works really well. So that's images of your staff working in the office, maybe like a meeting scenario, maybe at a desk, on the phone.
Adds a face to the company.
It does, and it does bring that, again, that human personal element. Perhaps stock imagery might work better though. So
good stock imagery.
Good stock imagery. There is lots of bad stock imagery.
Quite cheesy stock imagery.
So just be careful which stock imagery you use. But there's plenty of websites out there.
There's also some really great stock imagery out there that can add personality to your brand.
Yeah. I think in scenarios such as like maybe like a header of a news article, the stock imagery works quite well depending on the content. But then also other imagery that you might want to consider is product imagery. So perhaps you've just launched a few new products, make sure that you have up-to-date product imagery of them. And then illustrations, I think, work quite well to break up your text and imagery sort of ratio. So
another way to kind of showcase something of your business.
Yeah, like perhaps there's like I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but perhaps there's an industry that where the customer has to go through different stages to get to their end goal. Perhaps you might want something like arrows drawn and like images for each section, but then you've got the arrows add that sort of illustration element, which is
more engaging.
More engaging, definitely. And then last one is video. So I think video works really well on websites, and it can be used for a whole number of things, such as client testimonials, case studies, explainer videos to really make sure that your user understands the product and service that you're selling.
Even just a showcase of the people in your office, just really brief.
Like a culture video.
Yeah, a culture video.
Yeah.
Have you seen our culture video?
And again, actually, video does work well for social as well. You can always link back to it.
Exactly.
So,
so now we've looked at the fun bits, we then need to look at the kind of the accessibility of your website, and this is something that many websites fail for a variety of reasons. So the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines did assess a number of websites and found that these were the top five failures. So low contrast, so that is text on text, that you just if you struggle to see clearly, then you wouldn't be able to see that text on top of other text. So we would avoid using kind of white on top of pale colors, for example. Missing alt text on images. So if you can't physically see an image, an alt text will explain what that image is, what that image shows. One, it's great for accessibility. Two, it's also great for search engines. Empty links and empty buttons are massive ones, because why would we want to be able to click on, if we can't click on something that looks clickable? That's poor accessibility.
Definitely.
Missing form input labels. It's not really something you automatically consider, but if you're filling out a contact form and the little boxes, if you obviously, sometimes we will see like enter email address, and it seems really obvious, but it just really helps accessibility wise to have those form input labels,
like instructions on what to enter within the box.
Exactly. Okay. So when we look at the website, we do have some accessibility considerations for you. Obviously, this is just a really short list as well. There's so many. We would recommend going on the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines for more information. But for consideration, we have color use.
So we just to the next slide.
Yeah, we have, so obviously choose your colors carefully. What works in print and may not work on digital. So again, that's where you need to consider your brand. What colors are you using, and will they work on both platforms, on both print and both digital? Text size and copy. Obviously, we don't want huge, massive text, but we also don't want teeny tiny text. And is it laid out nicely for people to really easily digest? Navigation. Obviously, we want people to navigate through your menu easily, but how would people navigate through your website if they were just using the tab bar, the tab key, sorry? Can they do it? And if they can't, that's something that needs to be addressed. If you have a video, we need captions on that video if someone is speaking, so they can clearly understand what the video is about and what's being said. Alt text on images, as I previously said, and consider the device that people are going to be accessing your website on. And I don't mean mobiles or tablets, but also screen readers. If they use magnifiers, if they use speech recognition tools, is your website accessible through those tools? And if it's not, it should be.
All great things to consider. So next bits that we're going to go through is what else can add value to your user experience. These are things which I think are quite commonly forgotten about. So for example, accreditations. Your company might have won some great awards maybe like a couple of years ago, a few years ago, and they're missing from the website, which is silly, because your company has gone through so much
very hard
to be accredited with something. So
shout about it.
Definitely shout about it. And it's so easy, surprisingly, it is quite easy to forget about, but just even add it into the footer of the website, because then it appears on every single page that you're on. The next thing is reviews and testimonials. I know that we've spoken about this previously, but again, that's really crucial stuff to sort of add value to your website. And even if perhaps maybe like one of your customers has just written a sentence or two of a great review, you might just want to even feature it on the homepage, just a couple sentences on the left-hand side or wherever, really. It doesn't have to be a full page of the testimonial. But
if you have Trustpilot as well, or FIFO, or if you're a solicitor, review solicitors, they have loads of widgets you can use as well.
There's loads of widgets, and they all come in various sort of styles. You can perhaps have a widget which has like a slider of like the reviews coming on. I know that you can have a widget which specifically shows the reviews which you've selected, which comes in handy. So definitely want to consider reviews and testimonials. Useful features that you also might want to consider is things like live chat and calculators. So live chat adds that interactive element to the website. The user can ask questions to someone on the other end, which doesn't actually have to be someone in the office. It could be AI. Chatbots. But again, it just makes sure that the user can find all the answers they're looking for on the website, and they don't have to sort of end up calling someone or left feeling quite frustrated. Calculators again works well for some industries. So for example, like accountants, solicitors, who often provide quotes to their customers. A calculator can calculate the quote they're looking for, essentially,
rather than have to contact your team. use their time to
Yeah.
build a quote. Will have already had a quote.
Yeah, so
There.
it really speeds everything
Yeah.
up in that sense. So yeah, I think that's just a few little bits of stuff to add as well. Yeah.
And now the boring bit, sorry, Ali G. Before we even get started on the website, we do need to consider a couple of things that to make sure we can actually make the website live at the end of the day. So your domain details. So where does your domain, say entice-creative.com, where does that sit? So is it, what domain registrar does it sit with?
Yeah.
Without those details, we can't make that website live under that URL. So we need those ready. And where will your website live? Obviously your website needs to sit on a server. So have you considered where that's going to be? And I think at this point you need to consider how much traffic you expect to your website, so you know the server you choose can accommodate that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like so obvious, but it's obviously some cases it has been forgotten about.
Yeah. You don't want to scramble at the very end. You've got this great website and you can't make it live.
Yeah, exactly. So it's stuff which does need to be considered probably early on in the stage of a new website project for sure.
And boring bits over.
Over.
And at the end of the day, once you've got your new website, it looks great, it's live because you have those domain details. Now we need to map out the ongoing marketing strategy, because you don't want your website to just sit there. You've put it live and that's it. It's done. We need to have marketing collateral around that. So you'll need your social media. You'll need to have a plan of how often you're going to update, case studies, news. How will you promote the new site in the first instance? Like, what's your plan?
Yeah, exactly. And now that you do have a new website, you can start linking everything back to your new website. So even things like business cards, which a few networking places have been. So I've noticed people have QR on the business card. Sorry, there's a QR code which links direct to the website.
Also match your brand guidelines as well.
Yeah. So you have so much to think about. Really, your website really is the core, like, company marketing collateral.
Sometimes it's your first impression of a business, so it needs to be really well thought out.
Yeah, it might be a main source of like driving interest. So definitely something you need to consider.
So I think that's us.
Is that everything?
That's everything.
That's everything. So thank you so much for spending the time with us to go through all the considerations that you might go through when you want a new website. We obviously can help with all of everything that we've spoken about. We've done countless of websites now here at the agency. So our contact details are just listed there. Sid is saying...
Lovely. And keep an eye out for the new Entice websites.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.